All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with me, your host. Man, it has been hot as a son of a bitch outside. My car, the AC in my car broke. And, me driving home, sitting in that box with the sun just beating down on it is ridiculous. It's just like my arms just sweating, everything. It fucking sucks. It makes me think like there's people now that don't have AC. There's people now that don't have air conditioning at all. I would die. I don't think I'd be able to survive. I mean, obviously I would. I'm being a little bit dramatic, but like, come on now. I got two window units. It's still fucking hot up in this bitch. But anyway, welcome back to another episode. We got a great episode this week. First things first, though. I made coffee last week. I talked about it last week before, and I mentioned that I was gonna, that I roasted my own coffee with Black Forge Coffee Shop, and it's all packaged up. I got some labels made, and then I made it available, and I made 14 pounds available because there was a few other pounds I wanted to give away to cool people. You know what I mean? So I made this available, and it sold out in 2 days. Coffee sold out in 2 days. Insane. 2 days. Yeah, 2 days. Which is insane. I'm super thankful for it. Like, I'm actually really happy with how it turned out. It tastes great. Really does. It was a really cool experience to do all that. And it's cool to see like people that are, into coffee enough to want to try it out. It was my first time doing it. Like people, it could have been risky, but I think I did it justice. I absolutely think it's worth it. But it was a cool package. Like I'd be happy to buy that. Pound of coffee and like a big ass sticker pack. I was whipping them out for $25. Like it ain't even a big deal. 25 bones. And just think about like, people are paying that $25. What do you think I'm doing with that? I'm investing it back into the motherfucker. You know what I mean? I'll be getting shirts made here again in a couple of weeks. But I really enjoy that. Like, I've always had this itch that has been like entrepreneurial type, like sell merch. I did, I had that clothing company before, and like I sold t-shirts, and, I always loved like creating, I always loved creating pieces, like my own shit that people would wear. And I've been fortunate enough to work with dope-ass people and create some cool stuff that people want to be involved with. And I'm happy about that. Shout out to Dirty Bird at DERTY.BIRD. He is an incredible artist that's in Pittsburgh. Just a super talented dude, whipping out designs like they're nothing, and they're all fucking dope. Like I sent him this design of two arms coming out of a tombstone, holding my phone in a mug, and like he sent me something back in like 12 hours, and it was just fire. Like he's a super super talented dude, and then you got Dylan Rosgon. And then you got Dylan Rosgon, who is a fantastic photographer in the city of Pittsburgh. That I'm fortunate enough to call my friend. Like I'm pumped to have him work on my stuff. You know what I mean? Like I'm pumped that he even wants to be involved with my work. And I'm happy with the support I'm getting. You know what I mean? It's cool to like spend your time. Like I spend a lot of time doing this shit. I really do spend a lot of time doing it, and it's cool to see that people like genuinely enjoy it. You know what I mean? I'm delivering coffee for people that pick it up, delivering some t-shirts, and I'm just thankful that people want to wear something with my name on it. But anyway, like I said, it's been hot as a bitch, and what is better in the heat than a big old ice cream? What's better for real? Like you're taught from a young age, if you're good, if you're not jacking around, pissing your parents off, hey, we might go get ice cream. You know what I mean? It's just they hold it above our heads at a young age. So ice cream is some glorified like reward type treat that we get. But especially when it's hot out, it's been 90 degrees out. What's better than a scoop of ice cream? And I just think that like it's always gonna, baseball games, after your fucking little league game, you're gonna have a scoop of ice cream, and it's just ingrained to our head. But Millie's Ice Cream is my guest this week. Not Millie herself, R.I.P., but Chad Townsend. Chad Townsend is the owner and creator of Millie's Homemade Ice Cream, which is it's a homemade ice cream shop that's in Shadyside on Highland Ave, and it's been around for about 5 years now. And I mean, I want to say, like, if you haven't heard about it, I don't know how, but like, I was just exposed to it not long ago, probably like last year. I feel like I don't know why I didn't know about it, but once I was told about it, I went there, tried it out, and it was unreal. The ice cream was crazy. The quality, like, you could definitely taste quality in ice cream. You get that ratchet ass shit from Giant Eagle, it's still good. It scratches that itch a little bit, but it's not that quality. It's not that quality, that creamy quality. So I took my wife to Millie's Ice Cream, and you open up their door, and this like crazy aroma of just like, man, just incredible smells just punches you in the face, and you're like, yep, we're doing this. So all their ice cream is just like really, really great shit. He uses all whole, like, real fruit, not just like, not like paste and shit like that. Whatever the competitors do, they use that garbage gel that's in a bag. My man buys fresh fruit and puts it in his ice cream. But we talk about so much cool shit, like talk about how he kind of got started in all this. He went to culinary school to become a chef, and it kind of evolved into what he is now, which is he's an ice cream hustler. He's killing the game too. Like, multiple locations they're opening up. He's doing collaborations with people. His ice cream is well known. Like, it's on the way to that top tier with like the Permanis and the Turners and all that stuff. Like Millie's Ice Cream, I feel like is a when people say that, it rings bells. It definitely does. And I was excited to talk to him because, like, it's interesting. I wanted to know how someone makes a living off ice cream and how that came to be. And it's even cooler that, like, it wasn't planned in the beginning. The first question I ask him is, what is this recipe? Who's Millie? And he says, oh, that's my grandmother. And then I say, is that her recipe? And he said, nope. And I was like, damn, that's pretty cool. So, it's a really great episode. So without further ado, episode 77 of I'll Call You Right Back podcast with Chad Townsend of Millie's Ice Cream.
I gotta use the telephone.
Hello?
Telephone.
I'll call you right back. Call you right back.
Telephone.
I'll Call You Right Back podcast. All right. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do in the summertime. It's the summertime right now, but I don't know what I'm going to do whenever it becomes 90 degrees. You know what I mean?
It's any day now. It's coming any day.
Any day. So you said you just came from your production facility?
Yep.
And that's in Homewood?
It's Homewood or Point Breeze, depending on who you ask.
Homewood or Point Breeze.
Yeah.
And now I'm still kind of like ignorant to all your details.
Sure.
So like I know of your spot in Shadyside.
Right.
Was that the first one?
That was the first one.
When did that open?
That one opened it was 3 years in early March. So
3 years?
Yeah.
So you guys have been established since 2015?
So a little bit earlier than that, we built the plant prior to Shadyside being open, selling to some small restaurants, grocery stores.
Oh, really?
Like that. Yeah.
Wow.
Then we got Shadyside open.
Now, where does the name Millie's come from?
It's my grandmother, actually. Yeah, it's my grandmother's name, and we thought it was a really nice kind of tribute, homage to my grandmother.
Did she make ice cream?
She didn't, actually. One of the funny things about it is that everybody's like, is it your grandmother's recipe? And, my grandmother is passed, but...
God rest her soul.
Yeah, absolutely. Terrible cook. Terrible cook. But she always used to have frozen ho-hos for me in the freezer.
Oh, yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean...
Come on
how
now.
great. And I was the youngest grandson, so, special treatment all around.
Oh, man, frozen ho-hos.
So good.
That sounds
so
good.
good.
I don't think I've ever had one of them.
Yeah, you got to buy a box of ho-hos, throw them in the freezer. Incredible.
Terrible. It's terrible for you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's how you get your namesake is a legacy.
Yep.
Millie's ice cream.
Yep. And so we named it after her, and
so there was no cooking or no would you call ice cream cooking ice cream, preparing ice cream?
Yeah. Processing, I don't know. Processing sounds a little sanitary.
Processing,
but
that sounds good. Now, was there any processing of ice cream in your family whatsoever?
None.
So
I have very, very little anything to do with food in my family.
Really?
In the past, yeah. Like my parents, my parents are good cooks, right? They enjoy it, but professionally, nothing. I don't have any cousins who are chefs or uncles or grandparents.
How old are you?
I'm 36.
36?
Yeah.
Okay. So, I mean, where'd you grow up at?
I grew up in Murraysville.
Okay.
Lived there till I was about 18.
Now, were you always a cook? Like, did you always mess around with cooking?
Always. Yeah, since I was, really small, just kind of like putting stuff in a bowl and mixing it around and dumping it out.
Yeah.
And then as a teenager, I enjoyed it a lot, and would do it as, kind of as much as I could based around, normal teenage life activities.
Yeah.
And then went to culinary school. Knew that I was going to go to culinary school at a young age, probably 13.
Oh, yeah.
So
how'd you get into cooking? Like, what
I don't
sparked
know.
you?
It just something about it grabbed me. It was more, I like the idea of kind of a craft or a trade, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if I wasn't a cook, chef, ice cream maker, I probably would just be a construction worker.
Yeah, for sure. Woodworker or something.
Yeah, something like
that's
that.
That's always something that's grabbed my attention. Was like, I see so many people now that I know that like are dabble in woodworking.
Oh yeah,
it looks so sick. Like,
love it.
I want to get into it, but like it's
I have
just
a little space in my basement that I try. Like built our dining room table and
oh really
that kind of stuff.
Wow.
But yeah, that I would do something like that. And I kind of like the trade aspect of it. I like the repetitive nature of it.
Yeah, science of it and shit.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you were younger, like, if you were always into cooking, were you like into like real cooking, or were you just into like I myself was just like scrambled eggs? Like in the beginning, that's how I learned. That's how I got comfortable on like a stove. Was like my parents would be working, I'd come home in 4th grade and like make myself some food, and it was either like tuna salad, scrambled eggs, some random shit like that.
Yep, all that stuff. All that stuff is absolutely created the kind of the foundation, and then I started to
expand
a little bit. Took a couple kind of foods classes in school, and we had a really great teacher, and she really made it very interesting, and she was very kind of worldly. So we I started trying some stuff at home, and really liked it. And
do they still have home ec classes in school?
Yeah, they do, but they're like divided now. They're not like the same, because that was always the thing, right? Like
I loved it. There was half the time you were like learning the recipe, and half the time you were cooking it.
Yeah. So I think it used to be like all things home, right? Like because I think like 7th or 8th grade, like we had to sew a pair of underpants or something,
Yeah, they
some
divided
shit like
that into 2 classes for us. Like we
And-
had cooking. I think it wasn't even called home ec. I think it was called cooking, and then we had sewing.
Okay. Yeah, we had like it was called like foods or foods
that might
class.
have been it too. Might have been it too.
And so it was great, and she was great. She actually came into the ice cream shop like 9 months ago with her daughter.
Wow.
Who was in my high school class, and her daughter said to the manager woman, who's a friend of mine, "Hey, is Chad around? We went to school with him, and blah 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 blah." And so Melissa called me. I said, "I don't know those people at all."
Yeah.
And then Melissa called me back, and she said, "Oh, she said she taught you foods class." And I'm like, "Fuck, That's where
Wow. That's pretty
so
sick, though.
she's not, she's been following what I do, and it's
My foods teacher was batshit crazy.
Oh, yeah.
She was nuts. But she was cool. She always liked me.
Sure.
So I didn't really have no problems with her. Okay, so a couple things before we get too deep into this. I do an opening segment with everyone. It's called What's in the Cup.
What's in the cup?
So
Okay.
what's in your cup?
Weiler's Cherry Limeade.
Now, that's not what you requested. You requested Weiler's watermelon, but I feel like that it's almost like what's it called? The Mandela effect. Like, I feel like it ain't real.
It's real. It's real. Look it up. It's watermelon wipeout.
Bro, I'm
It's
telling you.
clear. It's crystal clear. I don't know how they made a product.
But I don't know if it's, I've looked on Amazon. I looked at 3 different stores, but I found a lot of Weiler's, but there was never that flavor.
It's probably discontinued because if you think about it, if you think about putting a powder that has to give a flavor to something in water and making it crystal clear, like you couldn't tell the difference if it was just a glass of water or a glass of watermelon.
Yeah, but like
They probably discontinued. There's probably some poison shit in there.
Yeah, but look at Propel. That's all clear, and that's all different flavors.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
that's
a scientific breakthrough.
I gotta find the Weiler. I'll find the water.
I'm gonna keep looking for it because
you gotta have it. It's fucking incredible.
I'll definitely mess with the cherry limeade. Kool-Aid. I used to love Kool-Aid a lot.
Yeah.
I do, but I try to avoid as much sugar as I can because I'll go off the deep end.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it was my birthday yesterday, so
Okay.
my mother-in-law brought me a fucking Oakmont bakery
Oh,
cake,
done.
chocolate
Smashed.
torte, and
Smashed.
so if the cake is maybe 14 inches in diameter, you need literally maybe a half-inch sliver
Yeah.
of cake width-wise, and you're just like, I can't eat this no
Yep.
more. So I took it to work today, and everyone went fucking crazy.
Yeah.
But Weiler's cherry limeade, that's pretty good though.
It's delicious. Yeah.
I bought a few packs, so I'm gonna have some.
Yeah, mix it
I
up.
I got some green tea as usual. But another thing I wanted to talk about before we get too deep into it, this fucking air conditioner is staying on. It's 90 degrees out. If it's bothering you, fuck it, turn it off. But if not, we're living over here.
That's it.
So
Staying cool. Murraysville.
Now, what were you into besides cooking whenever you were growing up? What kind of other shit were you doing?
Road BMX.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There you
for
go.
a large portion.
Little dance comp.
Yeah, a little dance comp. Absolutely. Good reference.
Little dance
Great
comp.
reference. Yeah, so that wrestled for the majority of my my high school career.
Yeah? Wow. I was a wrestler for a couple years.
Yep. I liked it. I got 2 kids now. I got a boy and a girl, and my son's 3. I can't wait to put him. Our neighbor is a pit wrestling coach, so
Oh shit,
can't
he's
wait
gonna
to
be groomed.
Yep.
That's
like
dope.
Age 5.
Did you wrestle heavyweight?
No. I was a thin fella in high school. Not so much anymore.
Yeah, I mean, you're just a tall dude.
Yeah. I was. I grew a significant amount post
okay.
high school. But yeah, no, I wrestled 135.
Were you all right?
Yeah, I was all right. Invited
was the
to
worst.
States, a couple times, but
Oh.
didn't do anything there. But
That's all right. That's all right. At least you got the invite.
Yeah.
I wrestled 9th and 10th grade. My first match, my coach was like, "This dude went to States last year. He's gonna beat you. Just try to remember your technique. Drop me
Just
on
hold
my
out as
fucking
long
head,
as you
dude.
can."
Scoop me up, drop me on my head
Yep.
immediately." I was like, "All right, that's it." I was basically just in there to keep in shape for football.
Yeah.
But so I mean, through not Boy Scouts. I was about to say Boy Scouts. Through BMX and shit, you've been you've actively been messing around in the kitchen. Mm-hmm. That's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, for I really enjoyed it, and I think that it's really interesting because I still talk to a couple of the guys that I rode bikes with, and they very much have this interest in food cooking, because it's cooking is for kind of some insane people, and I feel like that correlates really well with people who ride bikes because they're insane people too. So
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Definitely crazy people. So you knew in high school that you wanted to go to culinary school.
Yeah, it pissed my parents off pretty significantly. Because,
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I stopped trying when I was 14. I'm like, you don't need good grades. I mean, I could drop out at 14, go to culinary school.
That's a good point, I guess. Do you have to have a high school diploma to go to culinary school?
It's preferred, but it's not required.
Oh, wow. I
Yeah,
never
you can
knew that.
test. You have to take a couple tests if you drop out.
I mean, do they even really, any job you ever took, if you say I have a high school diploma and you don't, do you think they really check?
No, nobody vets your high
Not
school
a chance.
diploma.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
So if you're out there, just go fucking apply it.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
But that's true. I didn't think about that. So I mean, you genuinely weren't a fan of school?
No, it's not. It wasn't for me.
Yeah.
It wasn't for me. It's just, I
Classes were just, I mean, it's hard to pay attention to shit when
really
you're like
hard.
14, 15.
It's really hard.
And they're just like trying to explain some dumbass shit to you. And half the
Yeah.
teachers are just like,
yeah, bad teachers and kids, kids that couldn't keep up and asked too many questions, and I got annoyed, and
yeah.
so I had to
Fucking
get over
listen the first time, Dave.
No shit. Come on, man. It's easy. We're in 9th grade here. Shit ain't hard.
So, like, I mean, how did you kind of deal with that and like transfer off into like cooking? It's like, what were you doing in high school? Were you have cooking jobs? Were you?
Yeah. I started at a little bakery in just outside of Murraysville. They're still going strong.
Oh yeah.
They fired me.
Oh,
Because I was too busy fucking around talking to everybody there, not working, not doing my dishwashing duty.
yeah.
But the woman picked me up and drove me home every day from work, and so like on a Friday, she like pulls up in front of my house and says, "Hey, just so you know, you're fired. We're not gonna bring you back."
Wow.
And of course, my first response to her is like, "Oh, no big deal. I was gonna quit on Monday because I have another job." Like I don't have another job. 13 years old. I thought I was gonna punk this lady. So then I worked at another little like shitty restaurant.
Was it always like? Did you like sweets though? Were you? I mean, like as far as like cooking?
No, not particularly. The bakery was like the only thing that was any type of sweet experience until
okay.
ice cream. Then
Okay.
I went into like a restaurant.
That's what I was curious about, because you don't often find like people that are like heavy into like cooking like entrees that are also
Yeah.
like bakers and shit like that.
It's there's a different skill set, and it requires a different type of kind of thinking. One of the things that people talk about a lot is like there's this like precision, predetermined kind of idea that you have to do with baking.
Yeah.
That you don't have to do with cooking. And I think there's a little bit of that, but something else that's required, because like with ice cream, so we'll go to like savory cooking, right? So I'm going to roast a piece of chicken in a pan,
Yeah.
right? I'm going to pull it out. I'm going to cook some shallots in the chicken fat, maybe some thyme, a little bit of, chicken stock, butter, whatever, right? Make an easy sauce, a little bit of vinegar, done, right? But right as I'm about to put that on the plate, I can add a little bit more pepper or a little bit of salt or a little bit of acid.
That's true.
But with ice cream, right, I have to know what it is like, because everything gets dulled as it gets colder, right? So if you taste something hot, use the example of smoked salmon, right? You eat smoked salmon cold, but if you were to eat like lox, cured salmon,
Yeah.
hot, it would be too salty.
Really?
Yeah. So you like, general rule of thumb is that like something served cold is seasoned twice as much as something hot, generally.
Oh wow.
And so
why is that like that?
it's just the effect that cold has on things. It tends to dull flavors.
Huh.
Right? That's why I serve real cheap wine very cold. Because if you were to
oh,
serve cheap
shit.
wine, if you were to serve cheap wine at the appropriate temperature, everybody would know it tastes like shit. So
Oh wow.
if
That's
you're
pretty
having
interesting.
shitty wine, like get it real cold.
That's pretty interesting.
And so the thing with ice cream, right, is that I need to know when it goes in there at like refrigerator temp, what it's going to taste like at negative 10 degrees.
Yeah.
And I can't add salt, sugar, vinegar, or anything to it when it comes out. Like it is what it is.
That's
and
a
so
good
it
point,
requires
yeah.
a whole lot of different thinking. Whereas like with food,
You can kind of
right, I can make last second adjustments as I'm putting it on the plate.
That's a good man. That's
And so
pretty
it's-
crazy to
it
think
requires a different kind of set steps of thinking.
Now, whenever you're like first starting out of high school, now do you start culinary school immediately?
Yeah, immediately.
Really?
Immediately, yeah. Like
And
graduated
how long does
in
that
June.
last?
I want to say it was like 18 months.
Yeah, I can't
But it
remember
was
what Matt
weird
said. I
because
can't
there's
remember what
like
he
a
said.
3 or 4 month they call like an externship that you have to go to work. It's part of school, so it all kind of blends together. But I think ultimately it's like about a 2-year thing.
Yeah. And
yeah, I mean, I graduated high school like June, I don't know, 7th, just say, or whatever, and I was in culinary school on June 16th. So
Jesus.
no summer break, and just like, let's fucking go.
Now, what did you think about school? Like, did you enjoy it?
Culinary school was different. It was different because I enjoyed it a lot because it was very much, task oriented.
Yeah.
And it also, you were kind of graded on your own thing. You had to listen in lectures to what people were doing, but it wasn't like doing school projects and things. There were, groups and things like that.
That was the fucking worst. Sometimes,
we just like, here you go. Like, this is the expectation. You either meet it or you don't.
Yeah.
And I like that.
That's cool though. I mean, it's cool that you're by yourself and like you're working with yourself, because sometimes the group projects in high school were the fucking worst.
The worst.
Had to deal with people that you weren't even like cool with, and
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want to fucking work with you.
Yeah, and you're a shitbag, and
and like
I'm doing all the work, and like why am fuck am I doing work? I don't even need to get it. I could get a D in this class and be fine. But I just want everybody to think I'm a fucking loser.
Yeah, right. But
so
I don't know. It's weird. High school is super weird because like I tend to ask everyone that I interview, like, I mean, high school and like school is a big part of your life, and like for me, it's a good way to like kind of that's just another thing that gives me more information about you. Like I'll usually talk to people about high school. If they dislike it, you can get like a good read of how people were, and like opens other shit up. But like it's cool that you kind of like knew what you wanted to do. As far now, did you have a goal of what you wanted to do after culinary or like after culinary school?
I don't really think that I did. I knew that I wanted to go. I knew that I wanted to travel along a certain trajectory. Obviously, ice cream never factored into that. And I had this like general idea of a trajectory, right? Like own my own restaurant, blah blah blah.
Oh, you did want to own a restaurant?
Yeah, sure. Right. I mean, that's what.
Yeah, I guess
pretty
that's
much like kind of what
does.
you are supposed to. I mean, nobody really, I mean, I guess people say, "Hey, I want to just go work for some asshole for the rest of my life." But
Right.
most people say, "Hey, listen, I want to have my own thing."
Yeah.
But
What kind of cooking did you like?
I like all kinds of things, and it's strange. It's just it varies, and it kind of evolves. It still does. I mean, I still love cooking very much. I still participate in probably 12 or 16 events a year. But I'm lucky now because I get to choose what, how, and who I do them with.
That's cool.
And so I get to find other, excellent chefs in the city that I really have a good friendship with and enjoy working with.
Yeah.
And so
now, you're talking about like savory cooking events?
Yeah.
Oh, like what?
I just did something like probably 3 weeks ago at Cure.
Oh yeah, I know what that is.
Yeah, with Justin Severino, who's a good friend of mine, and Justin Steele from Bar Marco.
Bar Marco.
In the Strip. It's tremendous. Incredible.
What kind of food?
Restaurant. Italian.
Okay.
Like real deal Italian. He sources a lot of great stuff, all like extruded pastas.
I'm definitely like, I'm sleeping on a lot of places in the city. It's like, I don't know a lot of places. That's why like people will tell me places on here.
Yep.
And I like going to try shit out.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, you got to check
crazy.
out Marco. It's great. It's small. It's like 30 seats.
Yeah.
Fun little bar.
I've heard
Great food.
I've heard shit about Cure too. Like
Yep.
I've heard some good stuff about Cure.
Justin's a really good guy. So I do stuff like that, and just I did something at Union Standard.
And you enjoy like
because it gets it out of my system, right? Like
that's a good way.
I'm like this is cooking. It's just like
You're
cooking
scratching
for a
that
day,
itch.
and then I don't have to like wake up the next morning and go and do it all over again. Right?
Yeah, scratching that quick
Exactly.
itch. That's cool though. That would be a fun thing to do, to just kind of like get back in it, get exposed to it, real concentrated dose, shot in the neck, and then you're just out.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's great, and I can pick and choose to do it as little or as much as I like. There's always stuff going on, and so.
So in cooking, did they ever teach you anything about ice cream? Like in culinary school?
No, not really. I mean, I'm sure they did, but we made like basic creme anglaise, which turns into ice cream.
Just random shit, nothing too
no, there was nothing.
Now, where does where does that whole idea even come from?
So it's so weird. So I was at Salt of the Earth, and I was operating it as the chef.
Yeah.
Just kind of didn't have a great experience with the partners. There's a guy, Kevin Sousa, who started it, and he hired me, and him and I were good, and then he left and went and did his own thing.
Yeah.
So I stayed on at the restaurant, and the partners were just not really, we just weren't kind of, kind of
Didn't vibe.
connecting.
Didn't vibe. That's it.
So I said, hey, listen, I'm going to get out of here. I can't go find my own thing while I'm working here, and I can't, work here while I'm finding my own thing. I can't give them both 100%.
Yeah.
So my wife had a steady job, so she said, hey, listen, you take some time and figure it out. Start sourcing some stuff.
That's
trying to
dope.
find a restaurant. I started working for a high school friend who's an electrician. So I've worked as an electrician for a summer.
There you go, a little concentrated dose of that.
Yep, exactly.
How'd
Get
you
it
like
in
that?
and out. Oh, it's good because it's like now there's very few things that I don't know how to do, and I can, it's very helpful to when you own a business to know like
Small things
the bare
like
bones
that.
of plumbing, the bare bones of electrical, the bare bones of HVAC.
Goes a long way for
Yeah,
sure. That's
yeah.
why like my dad was very, very handy, and I was a fucking idiot growing up, and I never paid attention to a damn thing.
Same.
And I would always go to work with him for years,
Yep.
and he'd always like be trying to show me some shit, and I was like, God, I just want to get out
I
of
just
here.
want to get out of here and go fuck around.
Yeah, you know what I mean? But then now I have this place, and they're like, fuck, how do I change this light
Yep.
switch in
Yep.
here?
Exactly.
And now whenever I bring people over, I'm like in their face, like, all right, what do you do now? What's going on with this now? Because I don't want to feel like a moron
Yep.
next time.
Yep. No, it's the same thing, and so now it's good. So now I can diagnose
Yeah, a little bit
little
of-
things and
little bare bones.
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly. So me and him were boozing, and one night after working electrical stuff, and we were talking about ice cream, and he said, oh, you should make ice cream. And I said, I don't really know how to make ice cream. I mean, I do. I made it in restaurants. I have a general understanding.
Yeah.
And so I went home and told my wife, and she was like, oh, that'd be fun. So I talked to guys who have Marco. They have a place they used to have a place in East Liberty. And they said, yeah, you can make it and sell it here. So I talked my wife into purchasing a commercial ice cream machine for our house.
How much is one of them?
$7,500.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Still, that's a good investment.
Yeah, it's a good investment, right? And she was like, that's fine. You can buy it. And I said, well,
Now, when you say
I don't have any
commercial-
money. You need to buy it on your credit card.
And I'll pay you back.
Yeah, that's what she said. That's fine, but you need to pay it off this summer.
Yeah.
So we started doing it, selling it on Friday nights. Got real busy real quick.
Now, let me ask you a couple questions
Yeah.
beforehand. Now, a commercial ice cream maker, how much does that make? Like, kind of explain that.
Yeah. So it's a machine called a Paco Jet.
Okay.
So it works a little bit differently from a standard ice cream machine. So if you think about a standard ice cream machine, if in any format, excluding the Paco Jet, you basically have this thing that's turning
Yeah, like a tumbler.
that adds air. Right. It adds air, so it's like a paddle.
Okay.
And then you have some way to cool the outside of it.
Okay.
So in the old days, it used to be ice with salt. In the new days, it's a heat exchanger.
Yeah.
And so it basically is bringing the temperature down, and it's adding air because the ice cream will only hold air at a certain temperature. Once it starts to get cold, then it'll start to thicken up, and then it'll hold air. That's
okay.
why if you take a pint of ice cream, you let it sit out, and then you refreeze it, it's not the same. Because as soon as it gets above a certain point, all the air, not all of it, but a lot of the air is released.
Wow. I
So
never knew that.
It's basically like a milk-flavored ice cube.
Yeah. Huh.
So, but the Paco Jet's different. You actually freeze the liquid in these little canisters, and then it churns it frozen as this crazy blade and this super high RPM system. It's very fancy. And so, so she bought that, and I was able to pay it back in the summer, fortunately.
Now, how much are you able to churn out with that stuff?
So
No
that
pun
thing
intended.
churns 1 liter of ice cream in 4 minutes.
Really?
So, yeah.
And yeah, that's a good bit.
No, not at all. So
Oh,
you think
no,
about
a liter. A liter.
A liter.
What's
yeah.
a liter of ice cream?
A liter of ice cream is 2 pints.
Oh yeah, that's not too much.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
So
I thought
my current batch freezer does 44 liters in 7 minutes.
Holy shit!
And the new one that we're building in Homestead does 785 in an hour.
Jesus.
So,
So
yeah.
that first one that you got was
Yeah.
making 2 pints per 4 minutes.
Yeah.
And
And you
were,
have to make the stuff, and then you have to freeze it. So you have the making process, then you have the freezing, which is a passive process, right? Because I can't
Yeah.
do anything once it's freezing. And then once it's frozen, then you churn it. So I would work until 7 p.m. with this electrician guy. I'd come home, I'd make the ice cream. I'd put it all in my freezer at home at, like 9.
Yeah.
And then I'd wake up at 4 in the morning, and then I would churn all this stuff, and we would put it into pints, and then we would sell it.
Really?
Yeah.
How did you come up with your recipes?
So it's
Just touch and feel. It has to be.
yeah. It's definitely trial and error. There still is some of that to it now. One of the kind of my naivete in making large scale ice cream is that I just thought I didn't really understand that it wasn't just a vertical scale up, right? It wasn't just like, oh, okay, I know how to make a liter of ice cream. So if I want to make 1,000 liters of ice cream, I just don't multiply it times 1,000.
I would have definitely thought that.
Yeah, well, I did, and I fucked it up a ton.
Why? So you don't have to, like, it breaks down differently?
It does, yeah. And so now it's
Wow.
like, the reality of it is that there's a whole kind of science to it now that I never understood before.
That's pretty crazy.
There's like protein structure, and you're building solids, and the solids are affected by all kinds of things. So we've built like basically a formulation tool that we can understand, like, because we use all fresh fruit. We don't use a puree.
Yeah.
So we have a baseline, right, of Brix, which is like the sweetness, the sugar, and fruit. And so we understand, like, strawberries are between X and Y.
Oh, okay,
And,
okay.
that depends. I mean, if it rains today while they're picking, and it's sunny in 3 days when they're picking, the Brix is going to change. And so there's still a human touch.
That's
to
true.
it.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, but there's a lot of that.
Now, in the beginning when you're starting out, you said you were making these pints and selling them on Friday nights there?
Yeah.
And, I mean, how many were you selling a week?
Oh, not much. I mean, probably, I don't know, we would do $200 in sales.
Oh, okay.
And we were selling pints, I think, for $5. But we did a lot of scooping too.
Yeah.
We tried making waffle cones, just a fucking nightmare. Tried doing all this shit.
So when you started making this ice cream, you started trying to make waffle cones?
Yeah.
Because the reason I wanted to talk to you guys is because whenever I went to Millie's with my wife, I ate this waffle cone and I was like, wow, this is fucking unreal. And then I asked the girl, I said, because I mean, like, I'm an inquisitive guy. I always ask questions.
Right.
I was like, how many of these you go through a day? And she was like, I can't remember the number she told me, but it blew me away enough to how much is it a day?
It was,
A
it's
week.
kind of averaged out. It's I'll say like 275 per store per day.
Yeah, like that's
It's
because
averaged out.
She did say 1,000 a week.
Yeah.
And
she
I
was
was
just
like,
probably on the low side. But
I was like, geez.
yeah.
1,000 a week, 1,000
a week,
ice
yeah.
cream cones.
Yeah,
So you started trying to make these in the beginning.
Yeah.
Wasn't good.
Wasn't good. It was a mess. It's just like anything else, right? I mean, I didn't, you don't account for like humidity. You don't account for all of these different things. You don't know, right? They just say like waffle cone. I'll find a recipe on williamsonoma.com or something like that. And okay, great. You have a little $50 waffle iron and you make it, and it's all fine. And you make them and you're like, these are delicious. And so you sit them on the counter and go around, do whatever you're going to do. 2 hours later, come back to them, and they're all like limp and soft like pancakes because there's humidity, just like they just suck up
Destroys
humidity. And then it's like, how do I counteract the humidity? And I'm not a pastry chef by training, so all of those things I have to figure out. Like, is it more egg? Is it more fat? Is it more sugar? Is it like, what is going to do it?
That's pretty crazy that like you don't know the problems that you're going to have until they just happen.
Yeah. It's like.
So how long are you like whipping shit out of your kitchen at your house?
Long time. Yeah, long time. Like right up until because.
When did this happen? Okay,
So
first of all,
this happened this would have happened in June. I'll say June of 2014.
2014, you got the commercial ice cream
Yeah.
maker, and you started whipping in your kitchen.
Exactly.
And it's 2019 in 5 years. So how long were you doing it on Fridays?
Probably just for the summer and a little bit of the fall.
Okay.
And then we knew at that point. Yeah, so that makes sense. So I just have to walk through the timeline in my head.
That's fine.
So 14, then 15, we got certified in the plant in June, so almost like exactly a year later. And then November, probably, we started building out Shadyside.
Now, what do you mean certified in the plant?
So we are the only small dairy in this part of the state that actually pasteurizes our own mix.
Oh, yeah.
So that's one of the really interesting things about what we do is that we make this mix that is specific to our product, right? But we were offered in the beginning by a lot of dairies, hey, we'll sell you mix, right?
Yeah.
It's chocolate mix, vanilla mix, whatever, plain white mix. And we didn't do that because if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have done it because pasteurizing is like a total nightmare all
Why
the time.
didn't you do it?
Because in my mind, if you say, hey, we make ice cream and you buy a mix and you put things in it, then that's the same as saying, hey, I made tomato sauce and I bought tomato sauce off the shelf and I put a couple basil leaves in it. Like, you're not making ice cream, you're just flavoring a base.
I like that. I respect that.
So that was my thing, and I was too stubborn to think about it, from a business perspective. But now it gives us an edge.
Yeah, stubborn people it's either make it or break it. If you're stubborn in the beginning, you're going to fuck yourself over a good bit of times, but you're going to be good in the end.
Yep.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully, right?
So, I mean, like, in that first year of you making ice cream, it was pretty decent, like, as far as like the
it was
On the
the highest
surface.
highs, right? The lowest lows and everything in between.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, people are making special trips to come to this,
Yeah.
and they don't, they kind of knew who I was from Salt a little bit, but
you're probably in the trenches fucking making it happen.
Yep. And so then, then we're able to start to build a little bit of a following, and then, 5 years later, we're really lucky because people have been great, and we still fuck shit up all the time.
I mean, you got to,
people
right?
people are patient with us, right? And that's a big thing all the time that makes me nuts is like people won't say at the shop if they've had a bad experience or a bad time.
Yeah.
Right? They just go on Google review and write one star review, and
It's the worst.
and like, I get it. Like, a lot of people are non-confrontational, right? They don't. But like, what are my staff going to do? They're not going to yell at you.
Yeah,
Right?
but
like all my staff wants to do is make you have the best time you could possibly have. And sometimes they ball that up, and sometimes we mess it up on the ice cream end, and we are like begging people, like, please tell us, like, we want to make this right. Like, if you come in and you say, hey, I had an ice cream cone and it was really lousy, like, there is no end to the pints that you will get. I will give you pints. I will bring them to your house. I mail them to people. I do anything I can do to make it right.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. But just give me the opportunity to make it right.
it's I was talking to someone about like people that have Yelp accounts. Like the people that have like the Yelp accounts that say like 800 friends or something like that. It's like, God, these people are just fucking trash.
So
it's like you go to one place and you're just sitting there looking for things to critique.
Sure.
And you're like, bro, like it could be a fucking mess back there as far as like someone could have called off. Two people could be doing this when there should have been 4 people. And you're going to come out here and put a 1 star and just ruin a reputation. And like, how can you do that? How do you have I don't know.
Sure.
It makes me mad because I read a review of a place that I love. And I was like, this is outrageous. And like, I look at the girl's profile and she's some crazy from Pittsburgh, 800, 1900 posts. And I'm just like, this fucking lady.
Yeah.
It's just like, what are you doing?
It's I've come a little bit kind of full circle on Yelp, right? Like a lot of chef type people really, for all of the reasons you've outlined, really hate Yelp. And I was like, used to be like real on board and have a trash Yelp because it's the same thing, right? Like all these people, like they don't know shit, right? Like if you're something, let me come to your job and tell you how to do your job, having no experience.
It sucks that's where the customers go to get the info though.
But now the good thing is the good thing about Yelp, and I've looked at it, and we're trying to embrace the Yelp and the Googles and the whatnot more for this, is it allows me kind of one more opportunity, right, to figure out if something has gone wrong. Whereas like in the olden days, you have a bad cone and you don't want to say anything, you just say fuck it, I'm never going to come back.
Yeah.
But if in the new days, there's still those people who just don't comment and they just say never going to come back, and I can't, unfortunately, I can't figure out how to address that. But if somebody writes something on Yelp, I can contact them and say like, hey, listen, I don't want you to have a bad time here, and I would say 75% of those bad reviews, the people are very reasonable, right?
Yeah.
And they did legitimately have a bad time. And so I can fix it and make it right. And it actually has worked out in our favor really well, because it allows us to like take somebody who might have come in, had a good, mediocre to good time, and said, "Oh, okay, I like that place. Next time we're around, we'll do it." But now they're made to feel special.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a different experience for them. Now they are like, we've actually figured out, like, we can take somebody who has a terrible time that writes, "I'm never going to go back to this place because they suck."
They're going to
And
write,
we can
"I'm
turn them
gonna go
and have them
back
turn them into a super fan
because
and
they
our
made
biggest
it
advocate.
right."
Right. So
wow.
it's just like anything else, right? I'm trying to figure out how to use it as a tool to make the experience and the business better. And I wish that people we could make it better right on scene, right on the spot. But I think people just generally are like uneasy about saying that. They don't want to embarrass the people they're with, or there's a whole host of reasons. But now there's still the 25% of people who are just haters.
Ooh, I get embarrassed. My mother.
Yeah.
Oh, I get embarrassed. Sometimes she'll just say some shit. I'm just like, God, like, shit just could be going bad back there.
Yeah.
Like, why even bring it up?
Yeah.
Let him be, because that person that you're telling is going to be all fucking. You get a bad test, you get that hot feeling over. You're just like, God, I got to deal with that. And then you got other people might overhear it, and you're like, just let it be.
Yeah.
But I mean, I get it. Like, you're paying money for food and shit like that. I get it, but like only to a certain extent.
It's
a
always a
slope.
fine line,
It's a
right? It's
slippery
always a
slope.
fine line with everything, and I can't, and one of the things that we've realized is we can't be everything to everybody.
You can't.
And there are people who are not going to like what we do for a couple reasons, and we're going to try to give them all of the things we can do to make it as the best possible experience for them, but ultimately they might just say no way and just write us off. Yeah. But the people who came in looking for a good time based on other reviews, we can kind of claw a couple of them back.
Absolutely. So, I mean, in that first year, you guys kind of decided, like, all right, we're gonna do a brick and mortar.
Yeah.
And how did you decide on Shadyside?
It was really weird. We were in Lawrenceville looking at a space, and we had like negotiated back and forth with a guy. We were really close. I mean, I think we were like same day gonna sign the lease
in Lawrenceville.
And
why do you think Lawrenceville was such like a huge deal? Because
I have no idea.
It's weird.
It's
a weird place.
Something stuck there, and people just
What was the first place that was there that started it taking off?
I don't really know.
Because so many people.
I don't really know. That's an interesting question. I don't.
It's interesting because like all them places had to have a turning point.
There's something that started there that created
that
the
made
effect
people want to be there. It was a
yeah.
vacuum. It wanted people to come through there. But that's interesting because like everyone who's like starting something, some new venture, it's like. I mean, you automatically think like, oh, Lawrenceville.
Sure.
It's like Lawrenceville because that's where like people go get food. That's where culture is, whatever.
Drinking, eating.
Gentrification, whatever.
Yeah, right. Kicking people who can't afford it out.
Yeah.
Have, finance bros there. Yeah, whatever. It's funny too with Lawrenceville because it's like Piccolo Forno has been there for, I think, 15 years. Like just doing the damn thing.
Yeah.
And it's delicious, right? And it's just like, was under the radar for so long.
Never even
now
heard
it's a hot
of it.
spot.
What's it called?
Piccolo Forno.
What kind of food?
Pizza, wood-fired pizza, Neapolitan pizza. Incredible.
Oh, wow.
The guy who runs it is a friend of mine, fortunately, and it's awesome. And he was 14 years. I was with him the other night, and we were talking about it, and I'm like, you've been there for 14 years?
So he's been there before all the shit happened.
He was there way before all the shit happened.
I'd love to talk to him and see like.
Yeah, he's going to be right next to our Lawrenceville spot.
So it's interesting. So like instead of Lawrenceville, you guys, where did Shadyside come in?
So the guy from Noodlehead,
that place is fire,
called me, and he said, "Hey, there's an ice cream shop here that's going under. It's this wacky ice cream shop that's going under. You want to come up and check it out?" I said, "Yeah, sure." So we went up, checked it out, talked to the guy, the owner, landlord, and he was like, "Yeah, they'll be out of here in 2 weeks." I said, "Okay, here we go. Shadyside's better location. Let's go."
It was a better location?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. Now, was that on your radar of places to start it out in the beginning? Or was it just like you had your mindset on Lawrenceville kind of?
Yeah, no, I don't know that I had my mindset on Lawrenceville. We came across a space that was right.
Yeah.
That was really good. And so we just
it fell into place kind of.
And then Shadyside, I never thought we would end up in Shadyside, honestly, in the beginning, because I'm like, Shadyside's so expensive.
It's expensive, and it's like a hard place to travel to, and like parking, because like
Weird,
across
yeah.
the street,
Yeah.
like if we would go to Time Bomb, whenever that was down there, it's like you never had places to park. You had to go park at Barnes and Noble across the little bridge and risk your shit getting towed or whatever.
Yep.
But so I mean, like we went there. It's funny because like we went to Noodlehead. I took my wife to Noodlehead, and then I walked to the left, and I was like, "Fuck!" Tom has been telling me about this Millie's place forever, so let's go in there. And like there was a line out the door, and I was like, "God, like what's it all about?" And as soon as I opened that door and smelled that, I was like,
waffle cones.
"Oh my God!" I was like, "Yep." So my wife said the same thing. She was like, "Jesus." So we walk in there, and I had a Vietnamese coffee. And she had, I think, a mint chocolate.
Yeah.
And I never have mint chocolate ever because mint and chocolate don't go together for me. It's like chocolate toothpaste.
Sure.
I tried some of hers, and the thing that stuck out for me was that you guys have actual mint leaves in there.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, like this shit is awesome. And the coffee was unreal. And that's where, like, full circle, that's where I asked that girl, I was like, how many of these waffle cones? And she was like, 1,000 a week. And I was like, all right, I got to get them on here. I got to figure out where this came from. And I, like everyone else, I was like, Millie's, this is this dude's grandma. She started making ice cream back whenever he was like 10, and he just kind of took off
I took
with
the
it.
recipe. No.
Well, that's dope. That makes it even cooler that like you kind of manifested this all yourself.
Yeah.
So like the beginning of Shadyside, like what was it? Like how big of a deal was it with the build out and like to get that thing up and running?
It was, it took us like I said, I think we took the keys November 1st, and then we were open March 15th is when we opened. So
that's not bad at all.
Yeah, it was at 6 months.
Yeah,
plus minus. I have a really good friend. He wasn't such a good friend then. He was just kind of an acquaintance.
Yeah.
We've since become really good friends. And he's just a union carpenter who's laid off, but kind of a handy dude who can do other things too. And he was looking for money, and I was looking for somebody to do it, and we kind of connected. And then through the build out have become really good friends since. And so I actually requested that his company that he works for do the build out in Market Square, and then our new dairy plant.
Oh, really?
Well. So because he's there, he's on site. He's got my best interest.
Yeah, he knows about you.
Yeah.
That's dope. Now, whenever you were doing the Shadyside shop, did you have like actually, let me rewind real quick because I'm curious, because right before you started this brick and mortar, like how many pints were you churning out?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it wasn't anything like super crazy.
No, it was like Bryant Street Market in Highland Park, East End Co-op.
Now, was it like a big risk for you to start this ice cream shop, or were you kind of like, were you like, oh, the following's all right?
Yeah, the following's all right. It was, we were lucky because it was already established as an ice cream shop before.
Yeah.
As I'm like,
that makes
change
sense. Yeah.
kind of how I participate in our business. I think about different things now that I would have never thought about. Right?
Yeah.
And one of them is like kind of this established traffic pattern.
Yeah.
Right. And so, you talk about location, right? And I've seen really, really great places in really great locations that don't do well.
Yeah.
Because the idea is they're not used to going and getting Thai food here. They're used to going and getting something. And this was great because people that didn't know about us and didn't know that this place went out of business.
But they knew it was
We're
going to
just show up to get ice cream and then be
yeah.
like, oh shit, well it's a different ice cream
I never
place.
thought about that.
So, we kind of got lucky that way. And then we had built a little following, which is nice. And then we hit social media super hard.
Yeah.
So it was busy right out of the gate. It was super busy.
Social media was?
Shadyside was.
The business in itself.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to ask is like in the beginning, like whenever you opened, like you guys had a good jump off from there?
Yeah, big time.
Now, how do you prepare from making pints in your kitchen to making enough pints to, feed
That was nuts.
everyone else?
Totally
like how do what's the process as far as like doing the math of how much you need to make, what flavors, like what flavors were you making before you started the store?
So there a lot of them are similar, right? I think kind of as a whole our business has not materially changed from what we did when we were. I mean, we still look at some of the pints and things that we sold, and execution was shoddy in a lot of ways back then.
What is that?
execution
Oh,
of art. Yeah.
I thought you meant execution was a flavor of your ice cream. I was like, it's a little bit aggressive. Execution.
The
was
execution ice cream was so
chunks of strawberries in it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the kind of the core of the idea of it has always been the same, and we've just been able to refine it. But we didn't know. I worked in a restaurant. I didn't know what it was like to have an ice cream shop, and we opened Shadyside the first day, and I was like, okay, I'll work at the shop, and I mean, there were 60 people in line. Like,
how many flavors did you have?
12.
Now, did you have all 12 whenever you didn't have the shop?
No, we did like probably 4 or 5.
Okay.
For that we would just tell people in like text or email.
Yeah, and so 12 flavors, and like immediately had a line there.
Yeah,
and I mean, it kind of just you got thrown into the wolves, and you went
absolutely.
from there.
Yeah, and fortunately, we didn't have kids at that point, and my wife was pregnant, but we didn't have children, so I could work around the clock.
Yeah,
and so
you're
I
just
would
grinding.
I would basically get up at 5 a.m, and I would make ice cream until 11:30. And I would bring it over in my truck. At this point, we didn't have a refrigerated van, so bring it over in coolers in my truck.
Yeah.
Work the shop until like 2:30, 3 o'clock, and then that's when it's like a lull. It still is that way. We're still busy, like right at 11:30 noon until about 3 o'clock, and then there's like a little lull until the schools get out. And so then I would walk down to the Ace Hotel, and I would have steak tartare and Caesar salad. I mean, almost every single day.
Yeah.
And it was like an opportunity for me to just sit there, not think about ice cream, read the newspaper, and like take my mind away. And then I would go back to the shop, 4 o'clock, 4:30. I would work until about 7:30, 8, 9 o'clock at night. I would go back and I would make ice cream until like 12 or 1. Bang, go home, go to sleep, up, and just do it again.
Same thing. Rinse and repeat.
Yep. Exactly.
Now, questions pop into my head. In the beginning, you had were you using just the same commercial ice cream maker, or did you have something else?
So we still have the one that we started with.
Yeah.
No, not the original one. So
Okay.
the original one that we started with, when we built the dairy plant, I sold that to my friends at Marco.
Oh, okay.
And I bought a little, like a floor model. It's 10 liters. So it'll produce 10 liters in about 10 minutes.
Okay. And now, how many are you doing a day at the shop?
So I run 3 machines now. So
Yeah.
I run a 10 liter, a 24 liter, and a 44 liter.
10, 24, that's 68, plus 10, it's 78.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we run that, basically all day. So we got
Jesus.
somebody shows up, starts spinning ice cream, 6 a.m. ish.
Now,
and
when
then
you
the guys
started,
are till
though,
9.
like when you started, how many are you doing? Like, because do you have a staff there when you started, or was
I
it
just
based?
had one guy who worked for me at Salt, and he was like
wow.
a chef. He was like a chef dude, and he was just a killer. He just wanted to work.
Yeah.
He's since moved on. We parted company amicably because he wanted, it could be a little bit, it could be tough there. It's hot. It's just very much like the same shit. You know? I mean, just bucket after bucket of chocolate ice cream.
Yeah.
And waffle cones and all that stuff. So he's gone on. He's working at a great Michelin star restaurant in L.A.
That's dope.
He's doing really good. But yeah, and then I found another guy who was a dishwasher for me at Salt. So he's still working for me. He'll work for me forever, hopefully. But now he's kind of like overseeing a lot of production stuff.
Now, as far as ingredients and everything like that, where are you sourcing everything from?
So kind of all over the place, right? We have the fruit is, I would say, 98% local. We still use lemons, limes, oranges, grapefruits, blood oranges, things like that. But strawberries are just Pennsylvania strawberries, blueberries, just Pennsylvania, peaches, apricots, nectarines.
That's what's up.
Apples, pumpkins, maple syrup, honey, all that stuff. Milk is local. It's from a farm called Turner, but I'm working with a really great
Turner
farm.
Dairy Farm.
Yeah.
Just had him on here, no big deal.
Yeah, nice.
Turner Dairy
Nice.
Farm.
Who'd you have on there?
Steve Turner.
I love Steve. What a good guy.
What a great guy.
Good guy, yeah.
Man, what a great guy. Such an incredible interview, because like that's one thing that's a staple in Pittsburgh that you guys are absolutely rising up to.
Yep.
And it was dope to hear about like how that kind of came to be.
Yeah,
And
Steve's
he's
awesome.
Sharp as a whip too.
Oh, yeah.
He knows
totally.
everything about it.
Totally. And so all of our milk comes from them. We
Man,
buy
that's
sugar
awesome.
just like in a big provider.
Wherever, big ass place.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, like, your recipes, I'm sure they kind of, for the most part, stayed the same as far as like you go through it. Because I mean, everything is just like, it just tastes great. I probably had maybe I'd say I had 4 different flavors of your ice cream. I think I had Chad's vanilla. First other Chad on the podcast too. No big deal.
That's awesome. I like that.
Yeah, Chad's vanilla, the coffee, the mint, and then I had something else that was real crazy. It was a fruity kind. I think it was one of the special ones, but it was like everything just tastes like it tastes good quality. Like you could taste the good quality of it all. Nice, creamy, everything.
I want it to be, I want it to be like eating a mouthful of the thing that it says it is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I want it to be like eating a bunch of strawberries. I want it to be like eating a bunch of blueberries or peaches or apricots.
I'm telling you, I fucking hate chocolate and mint, and that chocolate mint was so good with the leaves in there. I was blown away by it.
Yeah, it's I like that a lot. I don't typically eat mint for any reason other than it just tastes funky, but I like ours.
Now, I mean, so in the beginning when you guys started this out, you hit social media hard, you said.
Yep.
Now, how did you do that? Like, what were you doing?
So, I'll definitely give a shout out to my man Adam Milliron in the beginning for sure, because he was really, I mean, we were like brothers. I mean, we still, it's amazing, like still to this day, not to this day, I mean, we've only been around 5 years, but like, I mean, he doesn't care. He will fight me for what he wants.
Yeah.
Right. And like, and it's really, that's so valuable. It's so valuable to have him, because he has this kind of direction in his mind of the brand that is Millie's. And I don't, of course I do, but it's, I have this idea of what this production should be and what these different things should be, but he will fight, and he will fight and fight and fight to get it. And I end up most of the time just acquiescing and saying, sure, you're this committed to it, and it comes out great. It comes out great 100 times out of 100.
Now, in the beginning though, were you stubborn to accept creative input from other people?
No, I wasn't. And I've never been that type of a person. I've never been like,
I am for sure.
I never have been. I've never been like the guy who says like, hey, I do it better.
No. I'm not talking about that, but I'm just talking about like, you have an idea. Like I have ideas about things. Like I work with a photographer. His name's Dylan Rosgon, and like I'm like I've been doing a bunch of projects. So like I just released my own like first roasted coffee. Awesome. I just roasted coffee, and like I had him, I just gave him all this shit, and I was like, take some photos of it. And it's like, it's hard for me to like, take ideas from other people because like, I just want everything to be able to, I don't want to have to be taking anything from anyone. It's always just like been from me in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, as a creative, right, you always have that.
But all these other people have different strengths that you don't have.
Absolutely.
So you have to accept that.
That's been the great thing about him is he and of course we still fight, because I still have these ideas of we should do something some way, and he's like, no, he planned to do something, and I'm like, no, it's going to be dumb, and it turns out it's great.
Yeah.
But I've been really lucky that way too. Is just somehow stumbled across all these people who do such a great job.
So many great people in the city.
They're just doing great things, and everybody. I mean, it's such a strong team of people. There's just so many of them are so much smarter than me. Yeah. And it's like, great. Like, I want to make ice cream and push it forward. Now,
obviously, in the beginning, you had a bunch of success with everything, but what were some of the struggles in the beginning?
There were a lot of them. There's as I mentioned, scaling up.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how anything was going to react, because when you talk about, moving ice cream. If you're freezing 10 liters of ice cream, that obviously happens a lot more quickly than 44 liters. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can only add so much refrigeration to it.
Yeah.
And so you have this time cycle that's extended, and that extended time cycle does all kinds of things with a high-fat, non-stabilized ice cream. So, we had to learn that. Like, what are the different time cycles? How cold do things need to go in? How quickly do they need to come out? And we still have those issues, and we still... Things like peanut butter, right? I mean, we still have a lot of because there's protein, and protein freezes and does things weird. When we do like maple ice cream, the first time we did maple ice cream, I'm like, well, we'll just replace all the sugar with maple syrup. No big deal. That's easy. So we did that, and then we froze it, and it got super granular because maple syrup doesn't freeze real well.
Okay,
and there is still some level of water in it. And so, we ran into those kind of formulating errors and fuck ups. The waffle cones, behave differently when you cook them in different humidities. So we needed to kind of balance it. They used to be super thin.
Now, do you regulate that in the store now as far as like humidity?
So we make
shit?
a mix. We make a mix in our plant and we just send it over.
Okay. So it's better. I mean, like, is it better to now if you're saying like if you're making a bunch of cones and they start soaking up moisture and get soft and everything like that? I mean, how do you deal with that throughout the day?
So we've found and sourced airtight containers, and so we put them in airtight containers.
Okay.
We fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, have a pretty big demand for those. So we don't typically end up with. They're kind of just making them all day.
Yeah.
They aren't really kicking around for long. But when they do, at the end of the night, when we have 30 or 40 of them that are left over, we have airtight containers. We'll put silica packs in them when they're particularly humid.
That's what's up then.
Just to kind of, keep it. So this, all those things that are just, the daily struggles. I mean,
now, what about any struggles with like regulations as far as like starting a restaurant? Or, what would you consider an establishment?
We deal with all the things that restaurants deal with
Yeah.
from a inspection regulatory standpoint. We also have a pretty significantly larger scope of regulation on us,
Now-
which I actually don't mind. Honestly, it holds us accountable.
Why
right?
wouldn't you mind it? Now,
Yeah.
the reason I ask that though is because as I was talking with Steve Turner, he was telling me all this crazy shit about like their testing and
Yep.
their like samples and everything.
Yep.
And he has like 3 different sample runs.
Yep.
One of them is just like room temperature. One is at 42 degrees. One of them is at regular 36 degrees.
Yep.
So if you guys are working with dairy and everything like
Yep.
that, do you have to?
We do. Yeah.
You have to adhere to all them
We
regulations.
do,
and
yeah.
shit?
We run through the same things that Turner does almost. So the only thing that we don't do that Turner does do is test for drug residue in the milk.
Okay, yeah,
So-
the antibiotics and
yeah,
shit.
exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So
well, you don't have to because they do it in the beginning.
exactly.
Ah.
So I mean, we test. We send random samples of mix, frozen stuff, all of that. We're in our new facility. We have a lab that we're building that will do kind of environmental swabs, as they call it.
Yeah.
So we'll swipe the plant, different sections of the floor.
And if anything hits, then you have to do a more in-depth one.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so, there's all kinds of ways to do like really interesting stuff, right? I mean, the 3M people are like, what we see good companies do is they actually pay their employees $25 to find the bacteria, which is counterintuitive to how a lot of people think, but the thought is I'd rather find out for $25 that I have some bacteria than have to pull it all off the shelf.
Yeah, release it
poison
all.
a bunch of people. Yeah.
That's a good point. Fucking Chipotle. Anyway, so I mean, like, if you're in the beginning when you're making all these, like when you're starting the shop, as far as like getting the ingredients at mass,
Yep.
how do you go about finding?
It's hard.
All that.
Yeah, it's hard. And that's one of the things we kind of struggle with every day is like, last year I bought 10,000 pounds of strawberries. I'll probably buy 65,000 pounds this year.
Holy shit!
Yeah, right. I mean, I buy 350 gallons of milk, 350 gallons of cream a week.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, thousands and thousands of pounds of sugar a week. All those things. So, I mean, that's unfortunately the part of the business that I spend more time than I'd like to in.
Yeah, as a
as a kind of
research
a creative person, that's not really what I want to do. But I have a really great like warehouse manager now, and he's super sharp, deals with logistics really well, and he has an employee that works with him that figures that out.
Now, like as this business is growing into something that is like, I don't know, you want to call it self-sustaining, where it's like where you have a little bit of like a little bit of ease that like you're getting bigger and you're growing a little bit.
Yeah, I know currently that I am not going to be out of business in the next 6 months, barring a catastrophic something.
Yeah,
and
so like
that's about the most comfort.
as that comfort creeps up a little bit. I mean, where does your thoughts go with all this? Like as far as like, so I see that you have this like, what is Van Morrison?
Oh God, Van Morrison has this ice cream van we have. It's a 1976 Bedford Morrison. It's a British truck. It's a fucking nightmare. It's
almost like the T-Bird. Almost like the Turner T-Bird.
Exactly. It's manufactured specifically to sell ice cream. It's a British truck. They have this product over there called Mr. Whippy.
Really?
Yep, and
It's ice cream?
It's soft serve
Oh, okay,
product.
okay.
So it has a little soft serve machine in it that we don't run because it's nobody knows how to fix it. It's got parts from the 70s in Europe. So we take it to events and do things with it. But
That's cool. It's like a spectacle type thing.
Yeah,
that's neat.
That's
though.
about
like
it.
I see on your social media, I see you got these new locations.
Yeah.
So what's up with the new locations?
So Lawrenceville, was supposed to open in June. We now have to dig up a tiny little street called Butler Street in Lawrenceville.
Unreal. Why do you have to dig it up?
We have a 3/4 inch water line coming in, and it has to be 1 inch, which
unreal.
is stupid.
Unreal.
So we got to shut Butler Street down. We got to get PennDOT. We got to PWSA approval, and so we could probably get it open in November if we pushed really hard. But why?
Yeah.
Right. Like I'd rather just push it off.
Yeah, just do it right.
We're doing something in Cranberry. We're getting pretty close to starting construction on Space and Station Square.
Wow.
So
big shit's happening.
Yeah.
Now,
Hashtag make Station Square great again.
Make Station Square great again because
Station Square is terrible.
Me and my wife were just talking about it. We were
terrible.
driving past Southside and she was like, I wish there was something good in there that we could go to.
Yeah.
The last time I went there was for Buca de Pepe 5 years ago.
Yeah, and it's like terrible chain restaurants.
Yeah, terrible chain restaurants.
Yeah.
Now, as far as I saw that you guys were in Giant Eagle.
Yeah.
Now, how does something like this come into play? Because I was just walking through the ice cream aisle and I see Millie's logo on there,
Yep.
and I was like, "Holy shit!" And that kind of just happened overnight for me. I just seen it overnight.
Yep. We've been starting to get in some grocery stores. We've worked with Giant Eagle for a while now. We've been in just a limited run of market districts, but we're in the next 10 days to 2 weeks. We'll be in 25 Giant Eagles.
Now, how did that happen? Did they approach you, or did you approach
we
them?
approached them. We approached them, and they're pretty. I mean, they're pretty great to work with. Honestly, they're really interested in local.
Really?
I mean, frankly, it's the only way that they can compete with the Whole Foods and the things like that. Is just hey, let's increase our local presence.
Yeah, and now, do you do that as far as you approaching Giant Eagle over a Whole Foods or something like that?
No, we try to do them all. We approach Giant Eagle first, just because it's our hometown brand.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I was curious about.
Yeah.
But I seen that over. I seen it, and I was like, I wonder how the process of that. So as far as you being able to put things into Giant Eagle, you gotta scale up even more and ramp up even more, and now. Wow, there got to be a lot of shit to deal with.
Tons of shit to deal with, right? Labels, and there's labeling regulations and barcodes, and
I didn't even think about all that.
Yeah, you have to buy a prefix for barcodes, and you have to buy a set of barcodes because that's this unified system.
Man.
So you have to be able to anybody anywhere has to be able to scan it and recognize it, and then Giant Eagle inputs it, and you have to. It's a
whole ball of wax.
Yeah.
Now, labeling. I'm curious about this because you said there's regulations. What's the deal with how does that work? Do you have to submit your recipes and shit like that?
No. We have a software that we input all of our recipes into, and it spits out nutrition facts. There are certain regulations. It's basically tiered, right? If you produce under X pints a year, you don't have to do nutrition facts.
Yeah.
But Giant Eagle, they are not going to sell a product without nutrition facts.
Yeah.
So we're in that kind of the next level of having to do it, but we are trusted to be able to do it ourselves. Now, from what I hear, when you're a big dog, other big dogs, the only way they can compete with each other, other than
fucking other
shaving
people
a
over.
penny. Yeah, is what they'll do is they'll buy a product off the shelf and then they'll have it tested, and then they'll dispute your nutrition facts claims. So when we get to a certain point, we'll actually have it lab tested in addition to our software.
You're gonna have some mafia guy coming after you.
Validate, to secondary validate that our claims are correct.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's pretty
wild.
crazy because me as a regular civilian, I walk into Giant Eagle. I want a chocolate ice cream, so I'm gonna go get it. But there's so much wild shit involved with all this stuff.
Yeah,
and you getting new locations and you getting all the sourcing out. Man, it's overwhelming to think about for sure.
There's a lot of steps and a lot of of work that goes into it every day. But we have awesome people that work for me. So it's like, I don't know how I could do it without
Now,
them.
how many employees do you guys have? Millie's in general.
80.
80 employees.
Yeah.
Wow.
They're not all full time.
But still, that's
but
pretty
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
Now, what's your wife think about all this?
She loves it, right? I mean, she's used to be in the finance industry. She now works in ice cream. I mean,
Yeah.
we now
She quit her job and works
She
for ice
quit her
cream.
job and makes ice cream.
What else could you want in
Yeah,
life?
right. I mean, and it's like, it's crazy because, you think about like tomorrow I have a huge load of work to do.
Yeah.
Right. But if I've decided, hey, I'm just going to go on at 2 tomorrow, like I can.
Yeah.
Right. Like I can. It's like
It's-
it's the best mix of like being a retired person, but not having to just like sit around and do nothing.
Yeah, I
Like
mean,
if
if-
tomorrow I don't want to go to work, I just won't go to work.
But you know that, like, I mean, you're going to be able to get that done. It's just you choose, and it's nice to be your own boss. Like,
Yes.
I ain't afraid to work hard
Yep.
at all, but it's nice to be able to just do it when you want and like
Yep.
get it done and
Yep.
kind of. Now, as far as you like collaborating with local brands, businesses, everything like that, like where do you look for whenever you do that?
I just look for people who are doing something cool. It's helpful when people have some sort of their own following.
Yeah.
That kind of that has a small kind of intersection of that Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Because if we can open somebody's eyes to what we're doing that wouldn't typically be opened
Yeah.
to that, that's better. But typically the motivating factor for the collaboration is not a business driven thing.
Yeah, but it's more or less someone that's doing something unique.
Someone
and
that's
different.
doing something cool that I really like what they're doing. So, again, we talked about Jules earlier.
Yeah.
There's a ton of people out there who are doing really awesome stuff, and we love the opportunity to do it. And then food guys, breweries, spirits, people, all kinds of stuff.
It's sick to be. I'm sure it's awesome to like be like the head of this crazy monster that's able to choose the people that you're working with and being able to like give the opportunities to people. That sounds bad. Give the opportunities, but just like collaborate with people.
Definitely, and there are a ton of people, and I know what you're saying, and I try not to couch it that way, right? It's not like I'm bestowing something upon somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
But there are a lot of people who benefit greatly from our following. I mean, we're damn close to 20,000 Instagram followers, which is like,
was it 18.9? I think.
Yeah, it's something I haven't checked it
Slight
recently.
change,
whatever.
But
And there are a lot of people who benefit greatly from that, and I mean, if I could find someone who's doing something awesome, that is super complementary to what we're doing, and then they can benefit from it ultimately in multiple fashions. I mean, it's win-win-win.
Yeah, why not?
Right.
Makes sense.
Right.
If it makes sense, it makes sense.
Yep.
Now, whenever you're deciding on like new moves for a big company like this, as far as like flavors, things like that, like do you take like, are you very strategic, or are you kind of like, are you the type of guy that's like, I'll roll the dice a little bit?
I'm definitely a gambler. My wife
like
is
that.
significantly more strategic.
Yeah.
So a lot of times she is the voice of reason.
Yeah.
Because I'll just absolutely roll the dice on anything. And so
Scare money don't make money.
that's it.
Now,
you got
is
to
there
break a
any-
few eggs to make an omelet.
Right? You got to. Is there anything else like besides ice cream that you want to like delve into?
Yeah, I want to do a few more like dairy products. Right, I'd love to make butter.
Butter.
Yeah,
Why butter?
there's just such a dearth of great butter locally. Right, I'd like to make like a really fantastic cultured salted butter, because I like butter, but I don't like shitty butter.
Yeah.
And so
what's your
it's like,
favorite butter?
this company Vermont Butter and Cheese. I think they're now Vermont Creamery is what they're called, but they make like a cultured sea salt butter. I like this. There's a French butter called Beurre de Signy.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a butter guy, huh?
Butter guy, love it. But I'm not going to eat shitty butter.
Yeah.
Like I'm either eating good butter or I'm not eating butter.
Okay.
Like if we go to like a shitty restaurant and they have butter, like I'd rather just eat dry bread. But good butter, done. I'm smearing it all over.
My entire life, I've never voluntarily smeared butter on any type of bread, pancake, waffle.
Yeah, see, I'm not also breakfast foods. Even good butter, like pancakes, I don't like. I'm not putting butter on there.
Yeah, you don't need it.
No,
you're just
no.
like it's
I'm just
already
killing
trash.
syrup.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
already I'm killing it in syrup though.
You see, I'm like dousing it in the syrup,
Yeah.
and then I have this other like layer of fat on top
Yeah.
of it. It's insane. So, what's the next move with all this? What's your goals in the next few years?
My goals in the next few years are just to continue to do it the way that we are doing it, right?
Yeah.
To not like outgrow my pants. And so I want to have it in a way that like the employees think it's still awesome to work there.
Yeah.
The people still are really excited to come and buy the ice cream. And it's just continued sustainable. You know, the more people that I can employ that can then make a really great paycheck,
Yeah.
the better, right? I mean, that's
can
like
enjoy work.
My favorite thing about what we do is like, you know, you could exchange ice cream for donuts or for whatever. And like, you know, there are a decent amount of people now that work for us that have great health insurance and are going home and making good money.
That's
and able
dope.
to afford to buy a house and have life insurance and do these different things. And I want that to like continue because it's like makes me super happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, are you someone that is like active on social media and everything? Is that you?
No.
Okay.
I have a woman who works for us that's just completely fabulous.
Okay, that's good.
And she does it every day, and she's awesome.
Now, do you ever get negative feedback or anything?
Yeah, tons.
Really?
Tons, yeah.
I
It's
I guess everyone does.
Yeah, and it's easy, right? We become a bigger and bigger target every day.
Yeah.
Right, and
That's
so
a good way.
you always have haters, and it's like I said, it gives me the opportunity to try to address it. And people who just hate for the sake of hate, what am I going to do?
Hate for the sake of hate.
Yeah.
All right. So where are all these locations at, and where are they going to be?
Shady Side right now, Highland Avenue, downtown Market Square, Soft Serve and Bakery Square. Lawrenceville will be in February-ish. Butler Street. Cranberry will be on 228 Franklin Road. Station Square will be in the Freight House building. Newberry Market will be in Bridgeville, opening a kiosk in Pitt in August. Duquesne Theoretically University in August, and trying to short pop up at CMU.
Holy shit. Now how does this all happen as far as like opening new locations, and like is this like you're putting out that much ice cream that it's in that much of demand, or you're able to like have that following where
I think a little bit of both.
like how do you decide
little
where
bit
it's
of
going to
both.
be, and how do you
We
decide
gotta-
when?
So when, I mean, it's dependent on how much money we have.
Yeah, I guess
right,
that's-
because we gotta write a big check to build that space. Where it just depends on, you know, we constantly are surveying people like where do you want us to go next?
Yeah.
It's got to be reasonable, right? And you know, we don't want to be exclusionary.
Yeah.
But there are certain places that just don't make sense, just
yeah.
for what we do. And that's kind of the idea of soft serve, is we want to see like, can we make a smaller, you know, more median priced product that's still the great Millie's experience, still using the great things, still tastes good, still dynamic, but we can fit it into a community that Millie's maybe wouldn't.
Yeah.
So that's the idea with soft serve. We'll see.
Jeez.
We'll
You're
see.
you got some crazy shit going on.
Yeah,
Definitely
Yeah,
do.
I mean we're pushing every day. I mean we go at it. We
It's,
go to war every damn day.
It's I mean, like I have a small taste of it just from the podcast shit. It's like, you know, like this is my baby, so like I feel it every day. Like it's all I think about every day.
Yep.
And like for you to have something like this that you built, like I couldn't even imagine like the I don't know. It's powerful.
Yeah.
It's
It's
like,
it's a thrill.
exciting.
Man.
That's what it
it's
is.
a total thrill. I mean, it's, you know, it's like I said kind of earlier on. I mean, it's the highest highs, absolutely, and the lowest lows. Like,
yeah.
you know, wait till, you know, a couple more people get a hold of this, and then they're like, this fucking podcast blows.
Yeah.
And you're like, what?
I've got a couple. I got a 1-star review one day, and I looked at it, and I'm just like, you know what? That's a hater. I don't give
Yep,
a fuck.
that's a hater.
I immediately was so salty about it, and I was like, fuck them.
Yeah. But you know what I liked it? I don't know if you can do this in podcasts. You know what I do with our reviews is I can look up the person who did it, and then I can see all their past reviews.
You can't.
And then I'm like, okay, so
You're just a turd.
This person gave 5 stars to Wendy's. Like they don't get it. They don't fucking get it.
They don't get it.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, okay. So the podcast ain't over yet, but I'm going to move into the last ending segment.
Great.
So are you an Office fan?
Oh, yeah.
I have the 3 regular questions I ask people, but I got some other ones to ask you too.
All right.
So the ending segment I do with all my guests is called Desert Island Questions. I give each guest 3 categories to take with them on a desert island to basically use until they die. So the first category for you is 3 things to watch on a desert island. So you could take whole movie series, single movies, TV, whatever.
All right.
3 of them.
So The Office, definitely.
Okay.
Just finished the second full cycle through all of them.
Only number 2?
Yeah, only
Okay.
number 2.
That's good.
This other show that I think is tremendous called Longmire.
I've
It's on
heard of
Netflix.
it. I've heard of it,
It's
but
got
I never
this
watched
weird
it.
Wyoming cowboy sheriff.
That's not the one with Ashton Kutcher and the dude that was Me
No,
Too'ing people.
no. I think that's called The Ranch. I've never watched
Oh yeah,
that.
The Ranch. Never mind.
This is called Longmire. It's like he's like a sheriff. It's very
Is it a comedy?
no, it's not a comedy. It's very procedural. Like each episode is like he's like arresting a different guy.
Oh, okay.
So I'm actually, I know you said 3, but I'm going to say 4 because
fine,
it's
go
got to
ahead.
be 4. 3 is Blue Bloods. You ever
Blue
watch Blue Bloods? Oh, it's
No, I
incredible
know what
show.
it is, but
Yeah, incredible. My wife hates it, so I've watched that 2 times through. The great thing about it, from a binge watching perspective, right? I think there's like 20 seasons.
Yeah.
Each season's like 27 episodes.
that's ridiculous.
So you just
is
tons
it
of
half-hour episodes?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So you smash through that, and then new show that I'm like crazy obsessed with called Billions.
Billions. I didn't
Yeah,
watch
it's on
that yet.
Showtime.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's like a take on a true story about a guy who's the hedge fund manager and the
I've
Attorney
seen it a
General
lot.
of New York.
I've seen it.
Paul
There's a lot
Giamatti
of,
in there.
Yeah, Paul Giamatti and a lot of other
yeah.
people too.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Billions.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
There's
it's
so
good.
much good shit
Oh,
on
it's
TV.
tons of good TV.
We're watching Handmaid's Tale. Just watched Chernobyl.
I didn't finish Chernobyl yet. My wife did.
it's fucking
We watched the first 2
crazy.
episodes together, and she just smashed the next 3 like 2 days later.
That's the worst part about like watching TV with your significant
Yeah.
other, because you're like, I kind of want to rip through this.
Yep.
And like my wife does wedding makeup, so it's like
Okay.
on the like she works 9 to 5 during the week, and then on the weekend she's gone doing wedding makeup, and I'm just like, God, I just want to
Yeah.
watch the rest of this
Yeah.
whole season. But the best part about The Office, I promise you, like I probably just got through it. And no lie, 13 times through full all the way. It's
That's
constantly on all the time. I
That's-
just put it on. Every single time you watch it, you notice new things.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I like. There's absolutely no show that I love more than that.
No, it's incredible.
It
I was
really
just
is.
talking with a guy who works in our office about The Office, and I was assigning characters.
Yeah.
And my wife is sitting there kind of laughing, and she is like, "Oh, there's two people. Well, there's one character you left out, and yourself, you didn't really assign yourself a character." She's like, "We can kind of assign you a character," and I'm like, "Oh God, I'm Michael, aren't I? I'm Michael." And she's like, "Yeah, you are Michael." And I'm like, "Oh, all right."
That's all right.
But this guy told me he thinks, so this is a unique take. He thinks Jim is a bad guy. He thinks Jim's selfish and kind of self-serving.
yeah, I mean, like Jim is definitely not my favorite character. I loved the you have the heartbeat of Jim and Pam the whole time,
Yep.
so it's easy to like
Yep.
grab it. There's still that like. Parks and Rec, I couldn't
No,
get
Parks
into.
and Rec.
I couldn't.
You didn't like it?
I couldn't get into
Oh,
it. I just
I
felt
liked
it
it
was
much.
just like a cheap version of The Office.
Yeah.
But those shows are just like, it's a dumb show. Like
Yep.
the Office is stupid.
Yeah.
But there's them small things that you could just keep going the whole through
Yep.
the whole through of it. But like
Yep.
other than that, it's just random shit the whole time.
Yep.
So Jim is definitely like he's just there to make some funny shit up. But
Sure.
like, oh man, who's your favorite character?
Dwight. Dwight's my favorite character.
See, like I love Dwight too, but I feel like Dwight, Michael, and Jim are like people that you can't choose because like
Yeah.
those are the main things.
Right.
Now, if there's not one though, I now like every time I look through an episode or I watch a whole series, I'll concentrate on one character.
Okay.
And just like really listen
so
to what
you're
they
like,
did.
maybe you're into Nard Dog. And
No, fuck Nard Dog.
you don't like Nard Dog?
Creed and Meredith are
Creed and Meredith.
two of the
Yes.
funniest people as far as like the impact of their words. They don't say too much
Yes.
compared to everyone else. Oh my God, Creed. He don't even say a lot, but
Yeah.
his shit is so.
And like I'll just catch occasionally. I'll like just catch, if they're like in the conference room and like Creed is, you could just see him like through the blinds, like doing something ridiculous.
Stupid
And you're
shit.
like,
That's what I mean. It's the best show ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so now before we get to the second regular question, I'm going to throw a wrench in it. I want you to tell me what's your favorite. I'll let you pick two. What are your favorite two other ice creams that are not your own?
My favorite two ice cream brands that are not my own.
Yeah, brands.
Okay, so Jenny's out of Columbus.
I don't think I've ever had
Yeah,
that.
she's great. You can get them in the grocery store. I mean,
Okay.
she's definitely an inspiration. She's been doing it since like 2002.
Jenny.
Jenny
Jenny, okay.
Brittenbauer. She's definitely an inspiration for what we do. And then I would say another one would be Salt and Straw.
I've had that in California. I've had that.
Yep, they're largely
it was
West Coast.
unreal.
Yeah, it's very
It
good.
was unreal. I can't remember whatever I had, but it was great.
Yep.
Yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah, Salt and Straw is great.
All right, now what about as far as like your run of the mill ice cream that's not a boutique ice cream?
Random ass ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, Paige's Dairy Mart's fantastic.
No. I'm talking like Hershey's. I'm talking a Giant Eagle, a Breyers.
Okay. Well, do you consider Ben and Jerry's there?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's still a pint is $5. I'm talking about like you can get a Hershey's, you can get Breyers, you can get all that.
So that's easy. I don't even know who makes it, but it's like the 54-ounce clear pail of rainbow sherbet.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm going with. I love that shit.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, I was curious what you would think
Yeah.
because everyone could say, "Yeah, I fucking love my own ice cream."
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know what I had the other day that kind of blew me away was Hershey's. My buddy works for Hershey's.
Okay.
First time I've ever had Hershey's ice cream, and he left like some wild berry shit here.
Okay.
I was like, I ain't never eaten that. It was
Yep.
sitting in my freezer I tried it and it was great.
Yeah.
It's like, huh, small world. I definitely. I got to come get some Vietnamese coffee. Second category of the regular questions is do you read?
I do.
3 things to take with you to read over and over and over again.
3 things to take with me to read. Do periodicals count? Because I read a ton of periodicals. Like if I could get a subscription of the Atlantic, like that would be great.
That's fine.
That would be great.
I'll give you that.
Another book that I would read, and this would probably do me no good there. It's called The Toyota Way.
What the fuck is that?
So it's about like lean manufacturing. It's really fucking super nerd shit.
Okay.
But it's really incredible. I mean, I'm assuming that if I'm out there for life, I'm never going to come back and operate a lean manufacturing facility. But you could, in the same way, without any of the humor, you could read it 1,000 times and
It'll
pick up
stimulate your mind.
a new thing every time.
Okay.
And then the thing is, I don't really read too much stuff that's like
That's not.
it's enjoyable. It's
Yeah.
all like super, like ice cream research texts and shit.
That's exactly what Steve Turner said. He was
Yeah.
like, I would bring this dairy book.
Yeah, right.
It's
I mean,
like,
that's the
all right,
same
that
thing,
makes
right?
sense.
I mean, I just read all those stuff.
All right.
So,
Now, what are 3 favorite flavors of ice cream?
so vanilla is the first. I'm vanilla all the time.
You have your own flavor, Chad's vanilla.
Yeah. I mean, that's I'm always vanilla. Cookie dough is a close second for sure.
Okay.
And then I would say strawberry sorbet.
Oh, okay.
So that's probably.
Wow.
And number 4 is Concord grape sorbet.
Concord grape sorbet.
Yeah.
Those are all interesting. I've always liked chocolate. I'm a chocolate like.
I like our chocolate. I think our chocolate's fantastic, but I've never been a chocolate ice cream guy.
That's all right. Got to have someone else.
That's it.
Other side of the spectrum. Now the third category, I'm curious to see what you say about this. Is 3 things to listen to on a desert island. So get specific. 3 CDs.
Absolutely. So I would say Steely Dan, probably either Asia or
Who the fuck was just on here that said, "Oh, you know who Greg Pascarella is from One Up?"
no.
He was like, "I'm a big Steely Dan fan."
Oh man,
I was like,
absolutely.
"You're the first person to ever say that." And the second in a row, he's like, "Steely Dan."
yeah.
All
Steely
right, Steely Dan.
Probably Asia. That album would definitely make it there.
All right.
Bruce Springsteen, the newer version of The River.
Oh,
So it's like
okay.
the extended 38 song guy. And number 3, okay, Paul Simon, Graceland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, those are good. Those are three
Yep.
good choices.
Yep.
You like fun music? You like hip hop?
I do.
Local music. There's a band called or a group, a duo called BB Guns. You ever
Okay.
hear them?
No.
It is the most unique.
Just spelled like phonetically BB Guns?
BBGUNS, one word.
Okay.
Just came out with an album called Help Yourself. They dropped
Okay.
it on the 28th. It's, I mean, 100%. It's the most unique thing I've ever listened to. It's like a hip hop heartbeat. It's like I try to explain everyone to it. It's like Run the Jewels meets like the White Stripes.
Awesome.
And it's so fun and upbeat, and they're local dudes, and they're fucking killing it. But they
great.
had this album, and like I listened to the whole thing probably 10 times already, and it's really, really great.
Absolutely.
I just
Check
had
it
them
out.
on here, and I mean, they've been doing music for a grip, but they're still kind of underground, and like
Yeah.
I want people to listen to them because
I'll
I've never heard
definitely check 'em
anything
out.
like that. But okay, so now the second to last question that I ask everyone is the death row meal. And I'm
Okay.
curious to see what you're going to have here. Matt Christie is actually the person who coined this question.
Okay.
So death row meal is you could have whatever you want
Sure.
from wherever you want, as many places before
Sure.
you die. You ever see them articles?
Yep.
People, what they
Yep.
want before they die? Creepers.
I would probably have really fantastically seasoned Ruth's Chris strip steak, asparagus, and potato gratin.
Okay.
That's what I would go with.
Steak and potatoes are definitely
Yep.
like the
And asparagus,
the meat and
love it.
potatoes of the death row.
Love it. And it's like Ruth's Chris, such a fun like old guy experience.
I've never been
Sometimes it's
there.
really great. Sometimes it's like so-so. But when it's really great, it's great.
What's a steak there cost?
It's like $48.
Oh, that's not
And
terrible.
then you pay like, 16, 20 something for sides.
That's not terrible.
No,
I got to
no.
go down there and try it.
Yeah.
I'm not a huge steak guy.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's weird. I'm the only person in the world that's not like a crazy
I
steak
used to
guy.
not really eat much steaks because, like, I don't know, my dad always just ate steak and like, I don't know.
Yeah,
it's just
right?
it's just not that appealing. But now it's like
I
go
literally had
down
steak
there.
tonight.
That's awesome.
What is steak tartare that you said that? Is that
It's
raw
just-
steak?
Yeah, it's just raw chopped up steak mixed with like onions, some mustard,
Ooh.
some cornichons, capers,
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah,
I would
yeah.
definitely fuck
egg
with
yolk, raw egg yolk on top.
that. Okay, so that's a good death row meal. Last question I ask everyone is: if you could have a conversation with anyone alive or dead, who would it be and why?
I think I would have a conversation, and like a long conversation with and I don't know that I have like a specific, like, it would be Abraham Lincoln, right? But it would be somebody that I have like really kind of looked up to and followed, and it's this weird guy from the University of Guelph, which is in like New South Wales.
Yeah.
And he's like 75 years old, and he's just been doing dairy science for his whole life.
Oh, really?
And I wish that I could like sit down and say like, these are the things that I have issues with, and these are the things I can never figure out. And that would be like the most fascinating thing to me.
Yeah.
And I guess that's probably a, demonstration of where I spend almost all of my free thought is
Yeah.
like, okay, we need these tweaks and we need these things to be better. I mean, I think that's probably who I would talk to.
That's a good answer.
I mean, I just paid him $38.22 on PayPal for a formulation calculator, and my wife's like, "Is this a scam?" And I'm like, "Oh, I don't think so." I mean, I wrote him an email, and I'm like, "Hey, I need some questions," and he like responded, "I'm in Spain. Maybe I can help you."
Oh,
So I'd
man.
probably sit down with him, and his name's like Martin Curry or something. Something
That's
like-
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Well, man, I appreciate you coming over and
Absolutely.
and
Thanks
telling
for
me
having
a little bit about what you do.
Thanks for having
you
me.
guys got some crazy shit going on. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
we're having fun. We're having fun with it. So
Well, take any time you want to promote what you got going on.
yeah, we just check us out. Millie's, the locations you heard. Millie's we're just at Millie's on Instagram. Somehow we got lucky enough to get that.
Yeah, that's
which is
crazy. Definitely crazy.
The website's just millishomemade.com.
Homemade, killing it. What
Yep.
year? So you guys are on year 6.
Yeah,
Year 6.
Year
no,
6.
No end in sight.
no end in sight.
It's cool that you got 2 kids that you're gonna like. I'm sure you're.
Yeah, I
gonna
mean, how
groom-
easy is that? Imagine if you were a kid and your dad in an ice cream
God.
shop. I mean, he's going to get sick of it. They're both going to get sick of it, right? Because they got July birthdays. So, like, every year, birthday in the ice cream shop because it's free.
Yep, exactly.
But, I know.
Do you ever get sick of the smell of the waffle cones?
No, never.
I didn't. I feel like you
Never.
couldn't.
I eat so much ice cream too. Like people ask that all the time.
Oh, do you?
Do I get sick of ice cream? No, I don't.
Your favorite is the vanilla?
Tons of ice cream. Yeah.
That's all right. Your name's on it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, everyone else listening, appreciate it very much as always. Check me out at I'll Call You Right Back. I got everything on there. I just dropped some coffee. I made my own coffee with Black Forge Coffee Shop and their roaster that they got there. I made 20 pounds, dark Guatemala, dark Kenya. The fucking Guatemala already sold out, so Ian's been sleeping. And the Kenya will be sold out by the time Ian's hear this. So sorry about it. Get the next run. www.I'llCallYouRightBack.com. Got new shirts, got new merch, stickers, everything. I appreciate everyone listening. As always, I'll call you right back.